Yo, 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 welcome back to Simply Forex. Welcome to the live stream. Trader Tom here, and I am with you for the next 45 minutes or so. And those of you who want to know the plan of attack, there is one, believe it or not. We are going to take a look at a couple of trades that I am currently in. New trades that I took today. We're also going to look at the news reaction, right? We've got important news coming out of America very shortly as well. So we'll take a look at reaction to that. We'll also do some in-depth market analysis, and that can be on any pair that you like, guys, because this 45 minutes is up to you, right? You ask me as many questions as you like about trading. If you need help with trading, if you want me to analyze a pair, if you want to know the Liverpool starting 11, anything you want to know, guys, just leave a question and I will endeavor to answer all the questions I get. All right, so don't be shy. Come say hello. Leave a question in the live chat. Let me bring the live chat up so I can see it. There you go, the wonders of technology. We're going to start with a trade that I am in, right? And I'm in Aussie dollar, US dollar sells, right? Now, if we start with the weekly chart, right? Weekly, as with a lot of, I keep prattling on about US dollar pairs and them being at key levels, right? And they all pretty much are, right? Now, will they bounce off these levels? Okay, well, we have a few clues telling us that they might. Okay, and let me take you through these clues. Now, weekly chart, right? We was in a downtrend, price came down, it became a little bit sideways and then bang, right? We were in a downtrend, price shot back up, and here we are. We're back at these highs. So on the weekly, clearly in a downtrend, and price is reacting at this resistance level. So the idea is to potentially come back down to this next piece of support, right? So weekly's telling me I can sell, right? If we drop down to the day chart now, and again, you know how I roll, right? It's a top-down approach. I gather the information, I get the data, and that's how I trade, right? Now, every time prices come up to this level, let me draw that line again. I've been drinking again. Right, but every time price comes up to this level, you're like, bang, big bearish candle, bang, big bearish candle, bang, big bearish candle. Okay, so we've got sellers at this level, right? They keep turning up. And this tells me we can at least come to the bottom of this, if not further, right? And there's more. And then on the H4, right, yesterday we saw a break of structure. Now, if we just follow structure, right? And structure, by following structure, it gives you the trend, right? And the trend is this. Yeah, we're in a downtrend. We're getting lower highs, right? These highs held, and this low broke with this candle here. So we're getting lower lows, right? And we've got some nice big bearish candles coming to the market, right, on the H4. I actually entered on this one, started selling here, stop loss above. It's actually a bit more above here. And then price, we're going to just take back down to these lows, right? But, yeah, I'm willing to let some profit run. All right, so that's Aussie dollar, US dollar. That's a trade I am currently in. And I'll show you all of my trade ideas in a minute, guys, right? I'll show you where I keep them under lock and key. I don't really. I share them with everyone every day. The next one is Euro Pound. Now, again, right, if we look at the day chart, if we look at the weekly chart, let's start with the weekly chart, right? Now, on the weekly chart, we are in this uptrend, right? We are. Okay, but you can see big bearish candle, and we still have a bit of room to come back down to at least this level here, right? There's a bit of room left. Now, obviously, weekly's in an uptrend, but we're seeing bearish candles. So I want to see the day chart in a downtrend. And it just so happens, hey presto, we are in, right? If we just follow structure again, this is where we're at, right? We had a little bounce off there yesterday. So we broke these lows in here. We're now getting lower lows. You can see we're getting lower highs. We're in a downtrend. We're nicely below the moving average 20 as well, right? So, but there's more, right? And at this level, look at this big wick rejection, right? So all we're trying to do is just come back down to this gray zone, right? It might want to go a bit further. I will let some profit run if we hit target, right? And again, if we drop down to H4, now this wasn't with H4 trend. I would say we've had a H4 trend break to the upside, right? We were getting higher highs. But because of that big daily bearish candle, because we're in a downtrend, and because if I zoom in, we got this nice big bearish H4 candle closed below the moving average 20, I made a judgment call on all the facts that I had, right? I like to be with H4 trend the majority of the time. This happens not to be. But I've made a judgment call on what I've seen. Big bearish H4 candle, started selling here, stop above here, and I'm going to take price back down to this dotted line, which is basically where that gray zone is. That's support and resistance level there, you can see. All right, guys, and they're the two trades that I am in thus far today. And as always, guys, let me just show you the Discord channel. Don't switch. Again, May 1st. Happy May Day, 1st of May. I like the 4th of May for all you Star Wars fans. But anyway, 1st of May, which is today, I give you these in the morning. Look, 8 a.m. my time, which is about 5 a.m. UK. I gave you all of my trade ideas. And as you can see, I'm trading US dollar strength down the bottom here with Aussie dollar, US dollar. And I also got into this trade. Right? I'm going to show you these trades as well, right? Because I'm not in these trades, right? But these are setting up. And guys, these ideas are in the free Discord channel. It is free, right? So first of all, come join our free Discord channel. And right now, by joining our free Discord channel, we will give you 50% off the Simply Forex complete trading course. So if you join the free Discord, it's free. Come join our community. You also get 50% off the Simply Forex trading course. So what are you waiting for? Let me just show you Aussie dollar Swiss franc. Now, I like Aussie dollar Swiss franc buys. I know this goes against Aussie dollar US dollar sells, but I'm trading what I'm seeing, right? Now, this was in this downtrend. And as you can see, it's kind of been building up ever since, right? And it still has a little bit more room to go up into this gray zone, right? We had a nice big a nice big bullish daily candle, right, above the moving average 20. But like I say, I'm just going to try and take it up to this 5,350 level. All right, so the day chart tells me I can do that. And if we drop down to the H4, it really depends on how this candle finishes, right? But if this ends up being a big bullish, my God, let's draw that again. Let's steady my hand. Where's my vodka? There it is. If I get a big bullish green candle like this, right, something like that, then I will buy Aussie dollar Swiss franc, potentially back up to these highs. Because you can see with H4, right, bang, it broke structure, broke these highs, higher highs. Is this the new higher low? We shall see, right? If the candle finishes like this, not interested, right? There's top wick, bottom wick, right? It's a little bit of indecision, if anything. So I really do need that bullish or bearish candle to be the catalyst for what I do, guys, right? So yeah, we shall see. And in Canadian dollar, Swiss franc, this is less attractive, right? because we're at the high, right? I would need this to drop a little bit lower, maybe into here. We get a bullish candle, right? But yeah, just a couple of trades I'm keeping an eye on. So that's me, guys. Yeah, but let's take a look at you. Yeah, let's go deep into your. No, I'm only joking. Just say hello and ask a question. Right, let's see who we've got in the house. Luigi, how are you, Luigi? Mark, how are you, Mark? William, can you analyze silver? I certainly can, no problem. PJ, how are you? Haven't seen you for a while. I've seen your name actually on the old VIP Discord. So welcome back, PJ. Rich Paul, what's up? Joma from Brazil, how are you? 704 woman, I've marked up euro pound a couple of weeks ago. I'm not in the trade, but I have it going to 0.8461. Okay, so my first target is 0.8471. All right, so good. 704 woman. Great minds think alike. Afternoon, Brett. We've also got a question here from Brett, which we'll get to. Shreyas has got a question. Okay, so Niraj, hi. Scott, right. All right, so we've got a few questions in already, guys. Your questions are my fuel. We like your questions. Before we look at the questions, it's more of a case for you to remind me, right? But we do have... at half past the hour, right, we've got this coming out. Okay, so we've got some employment data, right? So this is important for the US, and I'm also in Aussie dollar, US dollar, guys, right? So at half past the hour, we will take a look at that. Also, guys, let me please tell you one thing, that today's live stream is brought to you by Blueberry Funded. So if you're looking for any prop firm right now, please go check out what they have to say.
Exciting news, Simply Forex has partnered with Blueberry Funded, a proprietary trading firm backed by a world-class award-winning broker, Blueberry Markets. So if you want to increase your trading capital without increasing risk, plus benefit from some of the best spreads in the prop firm industry, then Blueberry Funded is the prop firm for you. Their challenges are innovative and sustainable with regular payouts, and their customer service and cutting-edge technology create a seamless experience. For all of these reasons, you get access to a prop firm that truly understands traders' needs and provides the tools you need for success. Support Simply Forex and take your trading to the next level. Click the link in the description and sign up now.
All right, guys, so there you go. And also, right now, if you look above my head, if you use our link and code Simply20, you'll get 20% off any challenge right now. So take advantage of that. Right, silver. William. Let's have a look at silver. Let's start there. Also, guys, if I look like I'm sweating, it's because I am. I've got this like industrial strength coffee that I'm drinking, and it's, yeah, strong. Silver. This, yeah, okay. So let's do a top-down approach with silver. Now, this, you know, when I spoke about Aussie dollar, US dollar, and all US dollar pairs are pretty much at key levels, and we're seeing some US dollar strength, right? Now, no more is this US dollar strength seen than with silver and gold, right? Look at gold tearing down from these highs, right? Look how bearish that is, okay? So that's gold, this is silver, and it's a similar story, right? Obviously, this is the weekly candle, and this weekly candle hasn't finished forming, right? But if it does finish like this, right, just look at structure as well, okay? So we are in a downtrend. We're getting lower lows. This is the last high. Is this potentially a new lower high? Maybe. It's looking likely, right? We've only got, 1.5 trading days left, right? So it's looking like that candle should be pretty bearish. But on the day chart, the real important bit for me is a daily structure break, right? And that's what's potentially happening right now. Because if we just follow structure, right, bang, we're in an uptrend because we're getting higher highs, right? This is low, higher low, right? That is an uptrend. So if we break this last low, that is a daily structure break, right? Simple as that. And as you can see, today's candle, right? Today's candle hasn't finished forming, but let's have a look on the H4 to see if it has broke. Right, quite clearly. Well, not clearly, right? It'll be interesting to see how this candle finishes because it's not clear, right? If you look at these very last lows here, okay, this candle has just about broke it. Just about. Okay, so that is a clean break. The body of this candle broke these lows. But it'll be really interesting to see how this candle finishes, right? Especially as we've got some US dollar data coming out and silver is, pinned against the US dollar. So if the day chart, the daily candle really, if this finishes like this and breaks these lows, I will be looking for sells with silver against the US dollar. Excuse me, guys. This coffee is like giving me heart palpitations. I also, this is a bit of a, don't know if I should admit to this, but I've been eating these like a crazy man. Lindt, dark chocolate, extra smooth. That's probably not helping my sweats. Anyway. But yeah, that's how I'll trade silver, right? If it breaks this low, get a big bearish daily candle like this, right? I'd wait for a retrace into here, take price lower. All right, so interesting. However, if we get a big wick, right, and the candle finishes like this, that is a totally different, puts a totally different idea to the trade, right? That would become a buy trade. So it really depends what happens at this level, right? So let's see. So yeah, William, I hope that helps you with silver. Okay, 704, woman likes euro pound sells. Yeah, I am in euro pound sells. You have marked up 0.8461. Yeah, okay, so right there. Yeah, right there. There's your target. There's my target, right? Yeah, looking good so far. Who knows? Got the American Open. Trump comes out. Who knows what's going to happen? But I trade my setup. I like my setup. I trade it. Simple as that. Right, what else have we got here? So, Brett, Tom, when a trade comes within a few pips of your take profit, then has a heavy pullback, what should you do and how do you handle that? Right, so interesting question. So it depends how close to your target, right? Let's have a look at Aussie dollar, US dollar. So I'm in this trade, right? Now, let's say your target was here, right? At these lows, right? Let's say your target was there. So your target is 6372 and this got down to 6374. Now, in the VIP Discord, right, we have a saying, and it is, don't be a dick for a tick, right? So, don't be a dick for a tick. If you're within a couple of pips, you don't know the market's going to reverse, right? Of course you don't, right? If you knew that, you'd be a millionaire, right? But if you're within a couple of pips, especially, it depends what time of day as well. So if you're basically almost at target, right, and the New York Open is nigh, right? It's pretty much opening now. America is waking up. So if that's the case, take some profit. Because when America comes in, right, it could shoot things up here, could shoot things down here, right? Take some profit. Also, if there's news coming out later, take the profit, right? Even if it's a few pips away, right? So that's how I would think with taking the profit, right? I would see, right, is the New York about to open? Things can happen. Is there news? Let's take some profit, right? Secondly, if you haven't taken profit, right, and you've seen this big push away, right, if we drop down to the H1, right, let's go back, right? So this was your target here, right? And then you're like, right, big bearish candle, this is looking sweet. And then you see a H1 candle that looks like that. You're like, bugger me, right? You're like, Christ. So, the first thing is not to panic, right? Your trade idea was built up using daily and higher timeframes, right? So even if you do see a big candle go against you, put it into some context, right? So you see this big H1 candle, right? And I'm sure a lot of you will be like, oh, bloody hell, what's going on, the market's against me, right? Just take a second, right? Put it in some context and look at the H4, right? Now, if you look at the H4, absolutely nothing to worry about. Big bearish candle, right? This is a big rejection wick, right? Still looking good to come lower, right? So put your trade into some context quickly, right? And if we come out of the back to the future button, this is where we are, right? So for me, nothing to worry about, right? You can still hold on to this trade, and take it down to here. Now, if I get a H4 candle that looks like that, then I'm concerned, right? If this candle ends up looking like this, right, and big bullish green candle, okay, maybe time to get out of this trade. It's missed your target and now it could be turning on you, right? But right now, nothing to worry about, right? But interesting question, because it happens a lot, right? You're a couple of pips away and it, just misses your target and shoots off, right? So those are the things I would consider. The other worst thing is, that's bad in trading, right? But the worst thing is your trade idea is to sell, price comes up, literally just takes your stop loss or your hedge, whatever you use, and then it just tumbles down like Jack and Jill, right? Couldn't think of a thing that tumbles, but Jack and Jill does, according to the nursery rhyme, right? So that's worse. Yeah, they're the worst. But interesting question, Brett. Thanks for that. Shreyas, would you mind checking US dollar Swiss franc? I certainly can. Let's do just that. And guys, before I look at US dollar Swiss franc, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash the notification button and smash that like button. Also, guys, don't forget to join our free Discord. If you do, it's free. But we're also giving you a code that gives you 50% off the Simply Forex trading course, right? So check that out. Yeah, free code. Also, guys, if you're interested in all of the premium education, please go check out our website, www.simply-forex.com. And you've got, the Simply Forex course, you've got the VIP Trading Academy, and you've got the mentorship program where I coach you one-on-one. If you're interested in any of that, check it out. It's on our website. All the links are below, guys. US dollar Swiss franc. So I like this for buys, right? I like US dollar strength, right? Today, right? Remember, I'm an intraday trader, right? This could all change, right? But today, I'm liking US dollar strength. And if we look at the day chart, right? Again, price was coming down. Bang. I'm going to say we're in an uptrend now. We're now getting higher highs, higher lows. And again, we've got that bit of room to move into, similar to the Aussie dollar Swiss franc trade, right? Obviously. And not super bullish, right? But bullish, not super bullish. But what I do like as well is the H4, right? And I like it when we got this candle. Now, this was a trade that I was contemplating, right? Because at this point, right, you can see we're in a H4 downtrend at this point, right? But then it finds a new low, right? We start to get higher lows. So when it breaks this level, I'm very much interested. And it's this candle that broke it, right? So yeah, I like US dollar Swiss franc. I think this could have been the entry candle, right? And obviously we've got news coming out, but yeah, if you're yeah, so I would buy this back up to these highs, right? Now, if you're not in this trade already, you could trade it like, so let's say this H4 candle finishes like this, very bullish, right? You could enter here, right? And put your stops below the moving average 20, right? And take price back up to these highs. You're just about getting your 1:1, right? That's sort of the minimum you need. But again, we've got US dollar news coming out. It really does depend on this candle and what it does. But US dollar Swiss franc, absolutely like buys. And look how this works, guys, right? What was once resistance, right, breaks it, retest, becomes very good support. I love that combination, right? Potentially buys back up to here. So Shreyas, yeah, totally like US dollar Swiss franc buys. What else are we looking at? Jolma says, can you look at Bitcoin? Okay, let's do that, Jolma. Everyone likes a bit of Bitcoin. Let's have a look at Bitcoin before the news comes out. Now, Bitcoin, as we know, is just flying, right? And again, it was all about this level, right? This level here gave you a beautiful entry, right? Look at that candle bouncing off of this support level, right? Now, this is the weekly chart, and that would have been against weekly trend because we was in a downtrend. But as soon as we break this with this big bullish candle, right, you know, really like buys, okay? But it's just shot off, right? That's the problem with it. If you look at the day chart, right, it's just shot off, yeah? Broke these highs in here, right? We're in a daily uptrend, and it's just shooting off. Now, this goes for any market, not just Bitcoin, but if a market does that, right, just shoots off like Flash Gordon, right, it's very difficult to trade, right? If a market just does that and hits target, where do you get in, right? Whereas if a market does this and retraces into here, then comes up and then retraces and then comes up, that's nice and easy to trade. You start buying in here or you start buying in here, okay? So to break it down to its simplest form, I'm a retrace trader because a retrace represents value. And these areas in here are value areas, right? I'm not interested in buying in here. Yeah, there's no value really. Yeah. You know, this would be my target, this 100,000 level, right? Where do you put your stop? Below the moving average 20, below this support level, right? There's no value. Whereas if price pulls back into here, right, there's lots of value. And you've got all this room to move into. You can have a nice stop loss in here, right? So Bitcoin, we want to buy, but we need to buy it from an area of value, right? And we just don't have that right now. It's the problem. It's the same problem we've been having with gold, right? Gold has just been, you know, that's a technical term, right? And it's very difficult to trade. Yeah. If any market does that, difficult to trade. If a market does that, it's easy. Not easy. I don't mean to be flippant. Trading's not easy, but you just keep buying in here somewhere. Doesn't have to be an exact science, right? You just buy at value. This untradeable for me. Right, we've got news coming out. Let's have a quick look at Aussie dollar, US dollar. Let's look at the day chart. Okay, so we're seeing US dollar strength initially. Let's have a look at another pair. Well, maybe not. Let's just take a look at the news because I'm in this trade, right? Okay, so both of them were worse than expected. Just thinking about my trade now, guys, really, because they were worse than expected. But, you know, that's not always a reason to get out of my trade, guys, right? You know, it was worse than expected. We've also got news coming out later as well, right? We've still got all of this important US dollar data. So although this is worse than expected, it's not a reason to get immediately out of my trade. Now, I'm going to let it settle, right? What I'll do is put an alarm in here. And if it starts breaking this level, right, then I'm considering getting out of this trade, right? But I'm just going to let the dust settle with this US dollar news and see where it goes. Because sometimes the powers to be, like, they're more interested in US dollar strength than what the news presents, right? You'll find that sometimes. I tell you, when not alarm bells ring, but what tells you that you're onto a good trade is if for example, right, as I am now, I'm selling Aussie dollar, US dollar, right? We've just had some good US dollar, sorry, worse than expected US dollar news. So this should lead to US dollar weakness, right? Now, what is very powerful is if the market ignores that. If this continues to come down on the back of that bad news, it's almost like, you know, there's a high probability your trade's going to play out, right? If it's ignoring that news, the powers that be want to strengthen the US dollar, right? Now, I will wait for at least this candle to form to see how that plays out, right? And if it is a big bullish candle, right, that does something, you know, like this, then okay, I might just get out of the trade early and just, you know, I'll pretty much be out of break even, right? My stop's up here. So we'll see. I'll just let the dust settle with that news and see if US dollar ignores that news. If it does, I'll stay in the trade. If it doesn't, I'll get out of the trade. But the worst thing you could do, guys, is panic and start exiting trades, right? You don't know how the market's going to react to any news that comes out. Do you remember the live stream yesterday? Right? It was, I can't remember the news now. Right. We had some like worse than expected GDP and we had worse than expected non-farm employment, but we still saw US dollar strength, right? So, yeah, you can't always, it's not as black and white as you might think, right? So let's see, right? We'll come back to Aussie dollar, US dollar. I've put my alarm in there, guys. We'll see how it reacts. Right, what else we're looking at? Ali, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar. Okay, we'll take a look at that. 704 woman is bullish on pound US dollar. Okay, so we'll take a look at that as well. And we've got some more questions. All right, so let's take a look at Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar for Ali. Before I do, let me just sweat some more with my coffee. My coffee's cold now, nothing worse. But let's have a look at Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar. Now, if we look at the weekly chart, right, it's been holding. So we know that New Zealand dollar has been very much stronger than Aussie dollar, right? Hence this downtrend. And we are in a downtrend, right? There's no two ways about it. But what we found here is this is a bit of a support level, right? You can see prices close back into this level many times. And just look at these wicks. Look at these wicks at the bottom. That tells me that there is buyers galore in here, right? Buyers, sellers pushed it down, buyers, sellers pushed it down, buyers. Look at the buyers now. Buyers are strong at the moment, right? Where can they take it to? Can they take it up to this piece of resistance? Maybe, right? But there's definitely buyers coming into this market. Now, if we look at the day chart, we're still in a downtrend, right? You can see price is coming down. And this is basically where we're at. So we're in a weekly downtrend. We're in a daily downtrend, which suggests that I want to sell it, but we know this is such a good weekly level. And what I'll do, guys, is just let the market tell me. Maybe if anything, I want to buy this market right now. I know we're in a weekly downtrend, daily downtrend, but look at all these candles, just buyers, 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 buyers. There's only buyers in the market, right? Before there was only sellers, 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 right? So you can see there's buyers in the market. Now, if there's buyers in the market, you want to buy. Now, can it come back up to here? Maybe, right? But because we're in a downtrend, I'm not necessarily interested in buying this. Down here, I would be interested in buying it, right? Because it has some room to move into. But the higher it goes, the less interested I am in buying it. Because at any point, these daily sellers in the downtrend, you could start seeing big bearish candles appear, and I would continue selling. So Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar is a bit of a stay away from me, right? If anything, a buy trade. And let's have a look at the H4, right? Because, you can see on the H4, right, it's still pushing up. Again, if this finishes as a nice bullish candle, I think you've got a nice buy trade on your hands, right? Potentially take price back up to these highs, if not further, right? And you've seen all those daily candles that it's nothing but buyers. And the H4 price action is obviously telling you the same. So yeah, if I had to trade it, I would buy it, but I don't have to trade it, so I would stay away from it. So I hope that helps, Ali. Right, well, so look, thanks a lot, Tom. William, you are very welcome. 70 woman is bullish, pound US dollar. Okay, let's have a look at pound US dollar. Okay, there's a level right now. Let me drag that across. So I'm not bullish pound US dollar, right? If we start with the weekly, right, we are seeing big bearish candles, right, at this high. Okay, now I know we're in an uptrend, right? You don't have to be Warren Buffett. We're in an uptrend, but at some point we need a retrace, and it makes sense that we're going to have a retrace at a big weekly level, right? It just does, just common sense. And then if we look at the day chart, we are seeing that tells me we can come lower, potentially back down to these lows, if not back down to this 13200. So this would actually be a sell trade for me, right? We're at weekly resistance. We've got a nice big bearish candle. Now I want to see H4 breaking down, right? And again, like I said, we have had bad US dollar news. And look how the US dollar is ignoring it so far, right? It's ignoring it. It is. If anything, we're getting US dollar strength, right? And you can see, again with H4, we've had this massive sell-off. It's retraced to a nice area of resistance. And I think that could be a good level for selling pound US dollar. I would take it down to these lows and then leave some profit down to here. But again, that's heavily dependent on how this H4 candle finishes. But you can see how US dollar, right? This candle just, again, we'll see how it finishes. But US dollar is brushing off this bad news that we've just had, right? And that is bad news, right? So really interesting at the moment, right? After this live stream, guys, keep an eye on how that plays out, right? Will that bad US dollar news be the catalyst for US dollar weakness, or will the market just brush that off and carry on with US dollar strength, right? Yeah, and then you just know there's some higher powers at play, right? So let's see. That'll be really interesting, guys. What else are we looking at? PJ, it's good to be back, Tom. Could you give us your take on Euro US dollar potential sells? Yes, I can. No problemo. Let's have a look at Euro US dollar. Again, it's the same with all US dollar pairs, right? We've got to go left, but we are at a key weekly resistance level, right? On the weekly chart. We all know Euro US dollar is in an uptrend, right? You don't have to be a rocket scientist. So that's a new one. But at this resistance level, we've got this big bearish candle. Excuse me, I'm just having all that chocolate that I ate earlier repeat on me. Note to self, don't eat a load of chocolate and coffee. You don't eat coffee, you drink it. Anyway, weekly chart, big bearish candle, right? This is telling me that we're due a retrace, right? And I've pinpointed this 1.1200 level. Now, if I'm going against trend, I don't exactly have, extravagant targets. My targets are very close, right? I'm not trying to go down here because we're in an uptrend. And if anything, we find these levels, price might want to move back up because of trend, right? But that's what I'm seeing now. If we look at the day chart, it's, it's all about this level, right? If we kind of break this level, and especially this level as well, if we sort of join these two up, if we got a big bearish candle in here, right, then there's no doubt, right? We've had a daily structure break. This is coming lower, right? Do we have much room to move into? Maybe, maybe not, right? It might want to come lower. So that's not in doubt. But even before it breaks this, right, is the market starting to produce a lower high? Again, maybe, but what we are seeing is lots of selling pressure at this level. Even when buyers come back in, you can see the sellers push it back. And this is pushing it back on the back of a lot of US dollar worse than expected news. That's really the red flag for me. I don't mean to keep, prattling on about that point, but it's true. Now, Euro US dollar is at a key level right now, right? So let's look at the H4. And it's had a bit of a bounce off that level, right? We've got a bullish H4 candle, but, we are in a H4 downtrend. We've broken this low. We've even broken all of these lows. So can we make it back down to here? Daily candles, H4 structure would suggest we can, right? Now, in an ideal world, to start selling Euro US dollar, I want price to move back towards the moving average 20, right? And price isn't exactly miles away from it. But it's tricky, right? Because you've got this big bullish candle, and we've still got 17 minutes. You might end up with a bearish candle that looks like this. So it'll be tricky. But I would want to see price come into here, maybe come up to this 1.1350 level, this psychological level. Then we get a nice bearish candle, right? And then we can start taking it lower. It might be a bit premature with Euro US dollar to start selling it, right? But let the candles guide you with that. Guys, please, if everyone could subscribe to the channel, smash the notification button, and please smash the like button. Also, guys, if you come join our trading community, join our free Discord, we will give you 50% off the Simply Forex complete trading course. Check that out. Also, guys, please check out our website for further premium trading education. And also, guys, please don't forget, if you're looking for a funded challenge, look no further than Blueberry Funded. They will give you 20% off right now if you use our link and our code. And on that note, I will say adios. Have a lovely day. Catch you next time.